Hello, welcome back to my guitar lesson. Today we're going to look at Rain, released in 1965 as the B-side of Paperback Writer. This track is well known for having the first backwardly played vocal tape, but having an electric guitar that is tuned to an unreal open chord is a less known fact. Let me start off by demonstrating the tuning of this guitar. D, B, G, D, G, and G. The actual recording has been done in B flat and tuned down to G using the tape machine. Because of this, the key of that track is below G, somewhere between G and F sharp. So if you try to tune your guitar to the recording, you notice the strings on your guitar will inevitably come very loose, like this. Tuning to these particular notes between two keys is often difficult to replicate using a normal tuner. I've tuned my guitar to the record, so you can use this as a reference to tune yours. In this lesson though, I'm going to just tune my guitar to the concert G, which hopefully makes it easier for everyone to tune their guitars. With all that being said, let's get started. Intro at the normal speed. Intro slow. You start off by playing the open G chord, strumming down from the 5th to the 2nd string. Now you pluck the notes individually, B, C, B, G. The next note is D, but you also hear the bass note coming through, which means you're going to strum the 4th, 3rd, and the 2nd strings at the same time with a downstroke, followed by G, C, B, B, G, B, one after another. Now you're going to play the open G chord again, but this time you're only going to strum it from the 4th string. You leave the 5th string out. Then you quickly play the B note. Now the melody is C, but then again, you hear the bass note coming through, so you're going to strum the 4th, 3rd, and the 2nd strings all together. After this, you're going to play the B note quickly. Now let me just play that phrase again. Then you hit the low G note. Lastly, you strum the open G chord from the 4th string. And that's the end of the intro. First verse. First verse slow. Firstly, you play the low G note on the open 5th string. Then you play the open G chord using just the 4th, 3rd, and the 2nd strings. As you play that open G chord, you syncopate it. These notes at the end of that phrase are B, C, B, G, and B. Now you play C, B, G, followed by D, C, B. Then you go back to the open G chord, but firstly you play the low D note. You quickly play the D, G, and B notes. Now you're going to play the C note, but this one you play more of a chord than an individual note. Don't forget to hit the low D note first, followed by a strum down. Then you quickly pluck the G and C note. Now you hammer on D, followed by C and B. You play exactly the same phrase on the open G chord. Now you're going to play the alternating notes between C and G, but the very first G you're going to hit will be the low G. Have a look. The rest are between C on the second string and G on the third string, and this is the timing. At the end of this phrase, you're going to hit the D note. I'll play it again. Now you're going to be playing another set of that phrase, alternating between B and G notes. Once you have done that, you're going to play the following phrase to finish off the verse. Let me break it down. You firstly play the G note, followed by the B note 3 times. The G note again, but this time you play twice. The low G note on the 5th string twice, and that's the end of the first verse. The second verse. Second verse slow. The main theme in this verse is the following phrase, and you played exactly the same phrase every time you come back to it. You start off by playing the open G chord from the 4th string, followed by the B note twice. Now you play D, G, and B note twice. And this is the next phrase. You firstly play the open G chord, but you quickly hammer on the C note. Now you pluck the individual notes D, G, and C, followed by the high D and the C note. Once you have learned both of these phrases, you essentially just repeat them, alternating between the two. Now let me play through this section. You play the first phrase 3 times and the other phrase twice in between the 3. Move on to the next phrase. Firstly, you play the C note. Then you hammer on from B to C. You hit the high D, D again, then C, followed by G, C, G. The next phrase is exactly identical to the one in the first verse in the same section, alternating between B and the G notes. Once you've got to this phrase, unlike the first verse, you have an extra half bar, and in order to fill it, you play this phrase: G, B, the low G on the 5th string, followed by B and G. I go through it again. And that's the end of the second verse. The first chorus. The first chorus slow. Firstly, you play the open G chord 4 times from the 4th string. Then you move on adding C note with your index finger. The first 2 times you only play with the downstroke, then you play 2 more times with the added upstrokes. Now again you play the open G chord from the 4th string. You pause for 3 bars before you start playing the first guitar feel. 1, 2, 3. The notes are B, C, G, B, G, B again. Now you strum the same open G chord 4 times just like you did at the beginning of the chorus. Then you strum this C chord with the added E note using your ring finger on the 2nd fret, the 1st string. The strumming pattern is the same though, the 3rd and the 4th time with the added upstrokes. You immediately start playing the 2nd feel, B, C, B, G. Followed by B and G notes, D and G, C and B notes to finish off. I'll play it through again. The 3rd verse. The 3rd verse, slow. The main theme in this verse in my mind is that you syncopate on that C note, but you don't syncopate on the D note. You will see this is consistent in the first half of this verse. Firstly, you play the open G chord from the 4th string, followed by G and B notes individually. The usual transition there. Plucking C, B and G notes. Then you hit the C, but this you syncopate. followed by G and C note. And because of these two notes, you should be able to hit the high D note on the beat. Then you play G and the C notes. Let me play through it. You play the open G chord phrase again. You quickly syncopate on the C again. This is the same phrase. Once you got there, you play this particular phrase. The notes are C, G, C, G, followed by D and C. Then you go D, C, G, D. Now you play the alternation between B and G notes, just like you did in the first two verses. Once you got there, you plug the following three notes, D, G, and B. There is no extra half bar in the third verse, so this is the end of it. The second chorus. As you can see, the strumming patterns are the same as the first chorus, but not the fills. This is how the first fill goes. Let me play this fill slowly. The notes are B, C, B, G. Followed by B, G, D, C, B, and G. You may wonder how this is different from the second fill in the first chorus. I'm going to play through both of them back to back to make a comparison. So the second one has a quicker transition into the second half of that fill, more precisely that G note, which results in a stronger emphasis on that D note, just like this. Da 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 da. Now I'm going to play through the second fill in the second verse. The notes are B, C, B, and G. Then you go straight to D, G, C, B, and G. That's the end of the second chorus. Now I'm going to play through the fourth verse, but by far this is my favorite verse to play. The embellishment on the guitar is just beautiful. Even just this section is worth learning. Here we go. The fourth verse slow. Firstly, you play the open G chord from the 4th string, followed by the individual notes on B, C, and B. The Now usually you go down and play the G note, but in the fourth verse you go up and play the D note twice, followed by C, B, C, B, G, and G. Now you're going to play this phrase. The notes are B, C, B, A. Yes, this is the first time you hit the A note. Then you go play B and C. The next set of the notes are B, B, C, B, and G. Then you play the open chord with the C on the first fret second string, followed by G and C. Now you play the alternation between D and C with a stronger emphasis on the D note. Now you're going to play this phrase. The notes are A, C, and B. Now you're going to play the G and the B notes after 4 and beats. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and. After 3 bars, you play the high D, B, and G, all on the open strings. Here's the timing. 1, 2, 3. Now you play the open G chord from the 4th string and sustain a bit. The outro. The outro slow. All of these phrases are very close but slightly different from each other. Let me break it down. First time around, you start by hitting the low G note using the 6th string. Yes, this is the first time you use the 6th string, followed by the same note on the 5th string. Then you glide down the D, G, and B, all on the open strings. Then you play this phrase. The notes are B again, C, B, and G. Now on the second phrase you hit the low G on the 6th string. Only this time around you skip the 5th string and hit the low D note using the 4th string. Then you go back and hit the 5th string. I definitely hear D as the second note. The rest is the same as the first phrase. On the third phrase, again you glide down the low G, G, and D notes, but only this time around you hit these 3 notes on the beat. Just like 1, 2, 3. The rest is quite similar to what you have played already. The notes are G, B, C, B, and G. On the 4th phrase, you first hit the low G on the 6th and the 5th strings. Then you play this phrase. Firstly, you go from D all the way up to C, and then you go back the way you came. Finish on the low D on the 4th string. The 5th phrase is exactly the same up until you hit the high C note. Then you go up hammering on the high D note, going back the way you came, hitting C and B. This is how it sounds if you play through it. On the 6th phrase, after you hit the first 2 low G notes, you skip up to the high B note, hit that twice, and then you hammer on the high C note. Now you hit the low D note on the 4th string. Here is the transition, followed by high D, G, and C. On the 7th and the last phrase, you start off by hitting the low D note, followed by the open G chord from the 4th string, and then you play the arpeggio on D, G, and B, all on the open strings. Now you hammer on C, B, and G. Now you hit the high D, followed by G on the 3rd string. Now you slide up to E on the 5th fret 2nd string. Now you even go higher by half step, you hit the F on the 6th fret 2nd string. Now you hit the low G using the open 5th string. You alternate between F, low G, F, low G, take a half step down, E, low G, take another half step down, hit the E flat, low G, and this is the end of the Rain track lead guitar parts. Hope you enjoyed this lesson. I know it's a lot to take in, but pause the video and learn it bit by bit. Let me know how you're getting on with it in the comment. Before you go, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.